Huh. I wonder what happened if I touch my Bible story to my CD drive. Started a game! Oh my goodness! Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another Apostolic Game Designers video, and in this video we are gonna do yet another review. Oh my goodness! What is that all about? I don't know, bro. So anyway, what we're gonna do a review of today is a video game called 5 Guardians of David. This is a hack and slash video game made by a group called Kingdom Games. This game is literally outstanding, and I'm gonna be telling you guys why in this video. So I got my notes right here. So maybe I should hold it just a little bit out so I can see what I'm supposed to be saying. Basically, this game follows the life of David and 5 of his most mighty warriors called Mighty Men, which basically were special people inside of his army. I don't really remember exactly how many hours of gameplay this has. I think it has about 6 to 8, but it's a really cool game. It's not rated. If it was rated, it would be rated T because it's got violence. I believe it has some blood effects inside of it. Just some stuff like that, but we're gonna go ahead and talk about the rest of this game together.
Hey Joseph! I'm Benaiah from the video game 5 Guardians of David.
You're my grandpa with the sword in your hand. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the story, guys. So basically, the story starts with 2 of the main characters, Abishai and Benaiah, as teenagers. They're like on this hilly area where the Philistines and the Israelites are fighting nearby, and it goes ahead and launches us into the story. So pretty quickly into the story, they find out that Abishai's sister, the Bible doesn't mention him having a sister, but it was pretty likely that he would have. So basically, his sister goes missing, and they go into this snowy pit, and Benaiah kills a lion there, which relates to 1 Chronicles 11:22. So this is like the introduction to the story, but basically shortly after this, they meet up with King David, who is going to fight Goliath.
I am. The Lord is with me, and I will win.
David, wait!
Dude, I don't know why that's so funny. I think it's hilarious when they're like that in the video. And once he kills Goliath, then they go with him through the rest of his adventures as he runs from King Saul, and then eventually as he becomes the king of Israel. Basically every step of the way, they're by King David's side, having many adventures, having battles, things like that, to be able to help get King David where we know him for today. Basically, the story's pretty compelling, it's pretty gripping, it's pretty realistic. It throws a lot of Bible verses in there because it is a Bible story, but it does a really good job of balancing the story elements with the gameplay element. And then one really cool thing that it has is throughout the game, it has almost what looks like comic strips that help show parts of the story that would be hard to play through. These comic strips, maybe I want to do like a voiceover or something, bro.
That's why, ranging themselves on the slopes of Wadi El Jinn is best. The Philistines must cross not 1, not 2, but 3 times before even attempting to ascend up the slope. What am I even talking about? Hey, that's my Uncle David. David! Where are you headed, Uncle?
I'm bringing food to my brothers serving in King Saul's army. Here, you 2 can help me carry it to them. It's not much further.
Today, I defy Israel and your God. Send out a man and let us fight.
Why does Saul allow that man to blaspheme God?
So anyway, guys, what am I supposed to talk about next? These are all my notes. They look cool. It's kind of hard to see them, but this is all my notes for the video. Is that enough notes? So anyway, now we're gonna go ahead and talk about the gameplay in 5 Guardians of David. Not 5 Nights at Freddy's, 5 Guardians of David. That's the 5 I'd rather play. So basically, the gameplay in this game is very, very addictive. Like I said, the game has a good balance of gameplay and graphics, and it's just gonna keep you coming back, coming back, coming back. It's really fun. It's not perfect, but it's really, really fun. So the cool thing about 5 Guardians of David is that you're not playing as one character the whole time. In the middle of battles, or even not battles, the really cool gameplay mechanic inside of this game that separates it from a lot of games is that in the middle of the game you actually can switch between different characters. So you do that by pressing different number keys, and you can switch between, sometimes you're playing as 3 characters, sometimes 5 different numbers, and so if you hit the right key you can switch to a different character and then start controlling him, and all the other players on your side will switch to artificial intelligence and will be controlled by the computer. So with that said, of course this is a top-down hack and slash video game, very unique. I haven't seen anything else like it inside of Christian video games. So there's 5 main characters. I mean, it is called 5. There's more characters in the game, but there's 5 main characters. And those are, let's see if I can remember them in my memory. Abishai, Benaiah, Eleazar, Jashobim, and Shammah. Those are the main characters, and each of them has their own special weapons that they like to use. For example, two-handed weapons like swords and clubs, a bow and arrow, a sword and a shield, a spear, a slingshot, and each one also has special abilities that give them special powers in the middle of battle. It might send enemies flying through the air, or might just make their hits super strong. Each character is designed uniquely, has their own personality, and is well developed throughout the story with unique abilities and weapons. No two characters are just the same. Alright, done with that sheet. We don't need those notes no more, boy.
Is that a dab?
And also throughout the game, you are given various missions to accomplish. And then you're also given items to find, things like that. Throughout the game as well, there are all these pots and other items like that. If you break them, sometimes you can actually find loot, and you get loot off of enemies once you kill them. And basically, you can use the loot, you can sell it, or you can use it as like armor and weapons to be able to basically upgrade your warriors so that they have more defense, have more attack. Sometimes the items you have to level up to be able to get them, but it's a really cool mechanic. It's a lot of fun just going through the loot that you found and finding items that are better than what your warriors already have. It's just really cool and a lot of fun. So basically, wherever you go, you can expect a steady stream of enemies. There are lots of enemies in this game, and most of the game you are going to be outnumbered. You can expect to have plenty of combat, plenty of constant action. Basically, that's what to expect with the gameplay for 5 Guardians of David. So now, we're going to talk about the graphics. Why'd I close my notes? I still need them. So basically, the graphics in 5 are absolutely amazing. They're not just some of the best I've ever seen in Christian video games. They're some of the best I've ever seen in video games, period. They can combat many of the video games and mainstream entertainment because the graphics are just gorgeous. They'll blow you away. The game has different areas and different looks. So there are, for example, city areas where there's just a bunch of buildings and streets. And then there's like outside areas where you got trees, rivers, mountainous areas, things like that. Wherever you go, the art is extremely well designed. It looks so realistic, looks really good. The lighting is great. Especially like the vegetation looks really good. Basically everything is natural and realistic. And then when you get to the animation, the characters are designed really well. From the concept art to the 3D art, they all look realistic. Even when you zoom away, like some people manage to get like zoomed in screenshots or something, it still looks realistic. The animation is realistic, it's not choppy or anything like that. Basically almost everything in the graphics and animation is grade A quality. Now, the maps, most of the maps are pretty good size. They're pretty large, but they're not extremely massive. You can play through a lot of them in like 30 minutes. So there is going to be some exploring the maps. Like you can't go into buildings and stuff like that most of the time. Most of the time you're just running around outdoors and stuff like that. But the maps are really great. They're really well designed, really awesome. Lots of areas to explore. I mean, they're really great, bro. Yay, I finished the first beta version of my game. Now, this block can move around on an empty map. Wait. This 5 game depresses me. Why am I even trying to make games? I never get this good. Okay, guys, so that's what you expect with the story, the gameplay, the graphics, other things like that. So now we're going to talk about the part that people hate, the things that I found that I didn't exactly like about this game. So let's go ahead and I'm going to tell you several things that I didn't exactly like. Now, first of all, this one's up in the air, but of course the game does have violence. I just wanted to put this one because some people are going to be less open to this than others. So there is a lot of slashing at people with weapons, knocking them around. There's not excessive blood or anything like that, but it is going to be a lot of violence, and that's basically what the whole game is built around. So expect lots of that. On top of that, there are some, for example, there's a weapon. It's like a club weapon, and it's got like a skull on the end of it. That's what you use for the weapon. You know, there's different weapons like that. Some of the characters, when you select them and switch to that character, they'll say something to acknowledge that you're controlling them now. And so sometimes they'll say stuff like, my sword is thirsty. That just seems kind of a little bit overly violent. My broom is thirsty. My trash can is thirsty. I am thirsty. Also, of course, this is a Bible story, and pretty much with every time someone makes a game about the Bible or makes a movie about the Bible, they basically fill in the blanks a lot because the Bible doesn't give them exactly every detail. And in a lot of cases, that's fine, that's great. But if they take a Bible story and they change it from what the Bible says, then I'm not so comfortable with it. So one element that I didn't exactly like in this game is the fight between David and Goliath, because you actually got to play this fight inside the game. But in the game, it portrays David with a spear, basically killing Goliath with a spear. You just kept poking him with the spear until he fell on the ground. So after that, I did show a comic strip that showed a more accurate biblical story of how David actually did kill Goliath. So it basically was kind of accurate overall, but it wasn't really accurate showing him killing Goliath with a spear. And then another thing that I personally don't like inside of entertainment, and some people might be uncomfortable with, of course, there are shirtless men, considering the time period that this was in, considering they're fighting pagan people. So obviously that's one other element inside of the game. And then another thing that was really kind of annoying is that inside of, like, when you're fighting inside of the game, sometimes like you'll be running ahead, like at controlling one character and you'll be fighting the enemies. Sometimes the other characters won't follow close enough and they'll just be standing back there while you're dying, trying to kill people and stuff like that. So it's kind of annoying. They might have fixed it since I played the game. I hope so, because that was kind of aggravating. And then the last thing that I had in this list that I was kind of uncomfortable with, well, not uncomfortable with, but didn't really like, was that I just actually felt like the game was too easy, because most of the game, the enemies are way too easy to defeat, at least the regular enemies, unless you're fighting like a special boss or something like that. I just felt like it's too easy. Honestly, I didn't really die a lot of times in this game. It's just, you go from one area to another with not really that much opposition. 5 people can easily put down 100 people inside of one map. So guys, there you go. That is what to expect with 5 Guardians of David. Overall, this is one of the best Christian video games I've ever seen created. It looks like good enough to be like any other mainstream game in entertainment. It has a few elements that I'm not really so comfortable with. It's a pretty interesting game nonetheless though. So anyway guys, thanks so much for checking out this video. We are still working hard to release more and more content, so I hope we can keep you guys stuff coming, more reviews of other Christian games to check out. If there's a Christian game that we have not done a review of yet and you think we should, please comment below to let us know. And with that, click this video off.